My fair citizens of Sodium City, today I am bringing you the Q&A that Wotc put out just yesterday from when the video is coming out. It'll be the day prior. So basically what Wotc decided to do is they were going to cancel the MPL. So this whole QA kind of covers a little bit of that and some other things that they're going forward with in esports. So this is really just a reaction of what's going on and then my thoughts overall at the very end and all that stuff. So if you haven't already, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I do come out with videos 7 days a week. And if you're watching this when the video drops, it'll probably be a few hours after that. I'm going to be doing the booster box openings for all of the tier 3 and 4 members. So hit that join button. You can see all the various perks that you get. You'll get a pack opened on stream or on a video and mailed to you as well. So this is the video from the weekly announcement that Wotc was doing.
Welcome to this week's edition of Weekly MTGA. I'm your host, and I'm going to be the only person on the stream today, Blake Rasmussen. We are going to start out
that
talking
sucks.
about the big esports announcement today.
Yeah, so
we've
supposed to be a really big
tried
esports
to be pretty active on social media, trying to.
Now, what you'll have to understand before we kind of get into the rest of this is that they canceled the NPL, right? And NPL was like the Magic Pro League, NPL, MTGA, right? Yeah, it was like their NPL was Magic Pro League, right? That's just what it was. Yeah, so it's ongoing introduced in 2019. Consists of pro players from around the world. Wizards of the Coast basically gave these people contracts to just a salary. Be like, okay, here's a salary. You get paid X amount of money a year. You show up to these events. We get to promote you, that type of thing. Like every company does, right? So, playing seasonal weekly competitive matchups, MTG Arena, Mythic level tournaments, MTG Arena and Paper Magic, automatically qualified for premier events, things like that. So they're canceling NPL. There is a tournament that's coming up this weekend, I believe, that's supposed to help you qualify for the NPL. So they announced it today or yesterday. I forget exactly what day it was, but they announced it recently before any of the qualifiers or whatever for what the NPL would be, because they didn't want to give people like a false hope of, oh, if I make the NPL, I can quit my job and just play Magic full time, right? Because they're saying essentially you can't do that, or you can, but it will only be based on tournament results, and we're not going to give you a salary for doing that at all, right? They're not actually trying to help make it a stable job.
Answer questions, trying to make clarifications.
So that's
but you know what? There's so much.
They're talking about other esports shit
in both parts of the announcement, but especially in these sort of nebulous future-looking sessions that I figured just coming on and talking to you all, answering as many questions as I can, sharing some additional information.
We like Q&As.
Would just be a good thing. So we're going to do that. We're going to spend a little bit of time, just me talking. I've got some, we've been tracking questions and thoughts all day.
Oh, cool. They're tracking questions.
So I'm going to start talking through some stuff, some confusion, some questions that we've seen on social media.
Cool.
I'll walk through those.
Let's do it.
It just so happened that this morning I was at a meeting called The Future of Play, which was just everything that you all want answers to. And so I've actually got more information that's just come today. So we'll talk a little bit.
So they're going to tell us about this.
Play,
what is this?
Which
Future
was
play.
everything that you all want answers to. And so I've actually got more information that's just come today. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. It's if you're looking for details like how many events, money, that sort of thing in 2022, we don't have those today. But I have more solid information, more about our thought.
So they have no idea how many events are going to be next year, and they don't know how much the prize pool is going to be. So why did they get rid of
We don't
MPL?
have those today, but I have more solid information, more about our thought process, more about our
Okay.
decision-making process.
Perfect.
We'll go through.
That's
So we'll
exactly
talk
what
a
we
little
want.
bit more about that.
This is just
and
an intro, I
then once
guess.
I'm through that stuff, I'll just answer questions.
Perfect.
So don't put questions in chat yet. I can't keep up with chat and do my little spiel here just yet. So I'll call for questions in a little bit, and then when that happens, we'll just have a conversation.
I can't believe
So,
they canceled the
I wanna start
MPL
out
and then made this
just
poor
by,
guy go
I'm
on the
getting
fucking
a lot
podcast
of
by
really
himself.
kind messages, which is great. Just saying, Blake, I feel bad for you being the face of this, blah blah blah. First
Yeah.
of all, like, I want to be here.
Exactly.
My job is to
like happy to say
do magic
at the
communications.
same time.
And that means I make
I
a
didn't
lot
know
of
he said
decisions
that in
around
the
magic
video. I saw
communications,
some
which
of this, but I
make
didn't
whatever
see it
jokes you
all.
want to.
That's actually really funny.
That also means I assigned myself to be on this show.
Because even
And the
I
reason
tweeted
is
at him
esports is
at the end
near
of
and
this.
dear to my heart. So yesterday actually was my 7-year anniversary at Wizards of the Coast.
It's a long time.
But you probably don't know that for about 7 years before that, I was a contractor for Wizards of the Coast. Anyway, that's a long way of saying I'm here because I care about esports. I also happen to have kind of a big 360.
So he cares about esports, which is nice, but it's not your job. You know what I mean? So it's a bit different because just because you care about something doesn't mean you know anything about it. So esports, near and dear to his heart. Great. And cares about esports, but I don't think he does anything with it. He's just PR.
That I can go through. So let's talk about the announcement specifically. I think the bridge season itself is pretty clear. So that's the section that talks about what next season, the 2021-2022 MPL and Rivals season is going to look like. What I want to clarify and emphasize there is everything that's talked about for that season in the article is only the stuff that applies to the MPL and Rivals.
I haven't seen the
So,
article.
for example, there will be arena opens during that time period. There
Still arena opens. Okay, that's good.
will be other tournaments and events.
There will be other tournaments and events, unspecified. It's weird.
Happening during that period. Obviously, COVID is still the big question mark that's going to hang over all of this. But I just want to make sure that everybody knows that the events that we talked about in that article are all the things that are specifically MPL and Rivals.
Probably have to check out that article then.
There will be other events during that period. We're not just taking that year off. That is referring only specifically to the very highest level of play.
Of course. So those are the MPL
to that
players.
end, the biggest misconception that I'm seeing is that high-level play is not going away. We tweeted about this.
Okay, so they're getting rid of all their professionals.
But it wasn't clear in the article. We didn't want to bog down the article with all the things that the future's not going to be, because it's not going to be a lot of things. It is.
This is just kind of a dumb statement. Like, I get where he's coming from, but if something currently exists, and then you're like, I don't want to talk about something in the future about what it's not going to be. But it's like, if it's not going to exist, you should probably say what it's not going to be, meaning in existence. There's a lot of things that it's not going to be. However, the thing that we want to know about is what is currently there, and then what is it not going to be after that. Like, what is there now that won't be there? That's what we're trying to find out.
And so I just want to clarify, high-level play is not going away. So things like a world championship, things like Pro Tour, Mythic Invitational level events.
Yeah, so it doesn't seem like anything's changing.
And qualifying paths to get there, those aren't going away.
Okay.
What is going away, and what you saw from a lot of the discussion around the MPL, is the guaranteed salaries.
Okay, so yeah, guaranteed salaries going away.
The contracts, the appearance fees, that sort of stuff. So when people...
Yeah, so basically they said, okay, we're going to pay you a salary every year to be on our MPL team. You have to show up to these tournaments.
People talk about being on the train or being in the pro club or however they phrase it. It mixes kind of two of those things. One is being qualified for multiple events, and the other is being paid just for sustained success rather than individual tournament success.
Yeah.
So,
and you want sustained
individual tournament success
because you want it to be
continue to do prizes and that sort of thing. Payment. So let's use.
Okay, so prize money isn't going away.
The old pro system as an example. If you were platinum.
Why is he using old pro system? I don't know what the old pro system is though.
Before the MPL.
So that doesn't really help.
Effectively two important benefits.
Okay.
One was that Platinum had some extra benefits like hotel rooms and stuff like that, but
as
effectively
you probably
the two
should
big benefits
do for your pro
were
players.
Qualification for everything, and then also appearance fees. That appearance fees bucket is something that is very unlikely to definitely not going to return. That is the part that's going away. So when you see pros talking about the pro lifestyle going away, that guaranteed money is what they're talking about. What's not necessarily going away,
I don't know what
although
the appearance
again,
fees
everything
means.
I'm going to say about 2022 and beyond is with a big caveat that we're still iterating on the plan. It's still being discussed.
Well, yeah, if they don't have to show up anymore because they don't have a regular contract, they're not.
And
they just don't need to show up.
What's not going away though are the potential to qualify and continue to qualify. If you do well in a tournament, that a big like pro tour level event, that
Nothing
may
seems
still
like it's
qualify
changing on
you
that front.
for the next big event. Or one of the things that we started exploring prior to COVID was the concept of fractional invites.
That face says it all. Fractional invites. That face, literally that face, is exactly what in the fuck is a fractional invite.
You do well enough in this tournament, you earn a quarter of an invite. You do even better next time, you earn half an invite. You add those up, you get your invite. That was obviously derailed by COVID and all
and the fact that it's a bad fucking idea.
The potential to qualify and continue to qualify. If you do well in a tournament, that a big like pro tour level event, that may still qualify you for the next big event. Or one of the things that we started
I like the way Summit does
prior
theirs.
to COVID was the concept of fractional invites.
Okay.
You do well enough in this tournament, you earn a quarter of an invite.
So fractional invites.
You do even better next time, you earn half an invite. You add those up, you get your invite. That was obviously derailed by COVID and all the massive changes that forced.
So they just don't know what they're
system.
doing with it.
So I know for a fact one of the people working on the new system is looking really closely at fractional. So that sort of qualification, like being able to chain multiple events together, being able to have some sort of sustained success that continues to qualify you for those highest level events, that's going to stick around. What form it's going to take, we don't know yet. Like you're going to hear me say that a lot. We don't know. We have ideas. We're shaping everything.
So yeah, they just don't know how
it's
going to be done.
So in that,
interesting. You would think that if they're getting rid of something to replace it with something else, you would have the plan on what you're replacing it with before you even announce that you're getting rid of it, right? You would, right? Pretty sure you would.
Based other things that aren't going away, qualifying events.
Pretty sure.
So we use the
still qualifiers
because I've been around a lot. We talk about things like PTQs. So qualifying events that lead to the bigger events. Those aren't going away. Those will continue. Sort of third-party events. So if you like things like the SCG Tour, things that MTG Melee has been doing lately, those aren't going away. What we're going to see is sort of a rebalancing of priorities. The esports and the highest level are very important, but for the longest time,
esports is very important. We like to hear that.
Kind of sucked up all the effort and resources at Wizards of the Coast, where
How? You didn't do anything with it. And he said all of WotC?
we put a ton of effort into the Pro Tour, as we should, and as we likely will in the future, and less effort into lower levels of play. And what they want to do is rebalance that. So I'm going to talk about this presentation we had this morning.
So you're going to rebalance low level and high level play. How though?
I'm going to give you a little peek behind the curtain on. And literally, I heard this presentation today, and I'm not going to tell you everything about it, but I'm going to give you some insights here. So the Play Studio is thinking about play in 5 categories. 5, and that's not to say all.
Okay, there's 5 playing categories. Why is there 5?
5 are equal, but that all 5 are important and are a piece of the.
Not all 5 are equal.
When I say play system, when I say organized play, I'm referring to the totality of all 5 of these things. So those are. I'm just going to name them, and then I'll dive into them a little bit. And I'm sorry, chat. I see there are questions. I'm not looking at chat just yet. Hold on your questions for a second.
Yeah, hold on, chat.
Circle back to questions.
Fucking chat.
Okay, so the first one is friendly play. Friendly play is what you would think.
Okay, friendly play. We like friendly magic.
As F&M, as your friends gathering at the local store or at home even to play.
Yeah.
Just friendly, non-competitive. This is Commander. This is one of my favorites, Canadian Highlander, although we're a little spiky in that area, but still. So friendly play is low stakes.
F&M is friendly?
It's
a tournament though, isn't it?
Getting together and enjoying.
It's been a while.
That's one. The second is aspirational.
Aspirational. Okay. We like aspirations.
And in my mind, and Wizards, there are kind of 2 buckets to aspirational play, sort of. One is the aspiration to reach higher levels. So a lot of what drives
to get better in general
a section of our player base is this goal of getting to, right now, MPL Rivals, or in the past, the Pro Tour, Mythic Championships, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Climbing up the ladder,
so getting to
getting to the
bigger
top
tournaments. Some people don't always want to go to tournaments or like big tournaments.
More common aspirational goal, which is to have these really cool experiences at the top level or to be known in your region as things. So I'm going to tell 2 stories that sort of fit into those aspirational buckets.
All right. What does aspiration mean? I guess I don't understand. A hope or ambition of achieving something.
An idea going around is what if Store Champs wasn't just an event, but what if Store Champs earned you
like Store Champs
or an etched card? So yeah, like inter-store championships or something like that. That was an idea that was talked a little bit about this morning. The other end of aspirational is just
okay. Once again, only an idea. Store Champs just an idea, or Store Champs exists, but pitting up store against another store is just an idea. All right, so you have friendly play where you just play against people. Aspirational play being competitive play, just in general.
The third is elite.
What? Elite? I am so confused. Is that still competitive though?
Exactly what shape that's going to take is to be determined.
So we don't know how elite play is going to be done. We don't know how many tournaments. We don't know what the prize pool is. We don't know the scoring system. We know that they're not paying any players. So right now, they have said, we're getting rid of MPL. We have 0 tournaments lined up. We have 0 prize money allocated. And we have no point system figured out. And we have less than a year. Cool.
The fourth pillar is festivals.
Like music festivals?
So you started to see this right as COVID hit. Command Fest, which were super successful, super well received, and honestly,
so more conventions than festivals.
And
I guess
that sort of
I don't even know what the difference is. Like the actual difference between a festival and a convention.
People getting together who all love the same thing and want to do the same thing. Like that is an important part of organized play. And so we want to pay more attention to that. And then the fifth pillar is digital. Digital is exactly what it sounds like. But one of the great insights is that digital is the on-ramp for anyone.
Wait, but digital encompasses almost all of that. Digital encompasses the first three of those. It does the friendly play, it does the aspirational play, and it does the elite play. The only thing it doesn't do is a festival, which is like in person.
Anywhere in the world, more or less, legalities in some regions aside. And so digital is a great window for high level play. One of the things that's come out of this is people singing the praises of the Arena Open, which is a great program, not going away, not affected by any of this. And that sort of stuff continues to be more possible, that you can
I like that Arena Open's not going away.
Still get that rush of high level play. So those are kind of the 5 pillars that the play team is working with, which is, again, I'll say it: friendly, aspirational, elite, festival, and digital.
Why 5 pillars? I think aspirational, whatever the fuck that is, I don't even know what that should be. I don't know. I don't know if it should even be there. Like, friendly play, yeah, I guess you could concentrate on friendly play, but like aspirational play and elite play are basically the same thing, in my opinion. Just because elite play is what you end up at, but aspirational play, I mean, that can start from your very first pack that you open, your very first draft, very first time you show up at your friend's house and they want to play Magic with you on the countertop or something, when you don't even know the rules yet. And you just want to aspire to beat your friend. Like, aspirational is way too broad, just like digital. Digital is way too broad. I think it should just be friendly play and competitive play. It should just be those two. I think that's what they should focus on. And then those could be broken down further, but it's just different everywhere, because competitive play breaks down into a store by store, being like F&M. It could be broken down into digital, like online tournaments. It could be broken down into regionals, nations or nationals, and then worlds, like all that stuff. And it can break down into elite play. But all of those are different levels. They're separating it in some like weird fucking way. And then festivals or conventions, whatever you want to call them, those are cool. Focusing on that, awesome. Totally down with that. And digital just seems weird.
That is kind of what I wanted to get through.
Okay.
So now let's ask questions.
So where's the salary money going?
You speak to where the money that was previously allotted to salaries is going now. So first of all, no money that was already allotted is going anywhere. As of today.
Okay. They're saying that because the MPL people that are currently on contract are still getting paid through the end of their contract, which is like until the end of this year or something. The end of this year or the beginning of next year, one of the two.
Setting now. The MPL will get paid the same fees in their contract in the transition season that they are being paid for this season. That's not changing. We're actually increasing the prize pools for the set championships.
That's kind of cool. That's actually really good.
Transition season over
putting
this
more
season
money
a
into
bit,
it is always
there's
good.
A little bit more of that. So the money that was previously allotted to salaries isn't actually going anywhere. Now, if you want to talk about in the future in 2022, the answer is the money is going to those other things, to friendly play, aspirational play.
So the question was, where is salary money going? Right? So the money that they were giving to the players, where is it going? And they said that they're increasing the prize pool for set championships, which I don't know what that is. And then in 2022, the money is going into pillar 1 and 2, being friendly and aspirational play, but they didn't say how.
You know, esports is a weird thing in that we wear how much money we spend on our sleeve. Like,
so does
nobody knows
everyone.
how much it costs us to print cards. That's not a thing we ever talk about. Esports is a different thing, and this is not to say that we're victims of this. We've broadcast how much we had in prize pools and that sort of thing, and how much our MPL and Rivals contracts were worth, and so it gets scrutinized.
I mean, yeah, because it's small. Is Mythic Championship going to be in person or on Arena?
We know exactly if Mythic Championships will be on Arena or in person. Okay, so
good question.
We'll use Mythic Championships with this question as a stand-in for the highest of the high-level events, maybe one level below Worlds. That is to be determined, and that is the big piece of this puzzle is COVID. On when we're going to do things. I've seen questions online like, hey, does this mean in 2022 we're going to have a Grand Prix in my area? And it's like, we don't know. We want to get back to in-person play as soon as possible.
Is it going to be in person or on Arena? To be determined. Depends on COVID.
Let's talk a little bit about
So in-person play, they're saying, okay, you need to go to your stores and then go into your own regions before we even do anything that's like a big tournament.
Can Wizards please tell us the future of something when they end something?
Wait, was that my question? I might have typed that.
Not to get this information all at once. This has happened multiple times. Totally feel you, totally hear you. Here's why we decided to do this. This weekend is a league weekend for our MPL and Rivals.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend also is
so we kind of talked about that earlier.
Where you will start qualifying.
So you start qualifying for MPL.
or Rivals.
Yeah.
Because of the money involved in being an MPL versus Rivals, people make life decisions based on qualification.
Yeah, they say, "Oh, I'm gonna, quit my job to do this."
This weekend, you were to qualify for the MPL and then be like, "All right, this is my job now. I'm gonna go quit my job." And then next week, month, whatever, you find out that the MPL is going away in 15 months.
Then you're fucked.
That's devastating. And it's also a really terrible thing for us to do to people.
Yeah.
So as soon as we knew this was happening, we looked at what is
that's actually fantastic. The fact that they did this. The fact that they did this is good. If you're reformatting an entire esports league and series going by different point structure, you actually do have to have it ready and good and tested a year ahead of time. Because what you do is if you have a new point system, right, that you're trying to go by, like fractional invites, whatever the fuck they were doing, they do that retroactively. They're like, okay, now we're doing the partial invites. We're going to go retroactive for this amount of time, or they announce that we're going to do it retroactively. It's going to finish the season out. Then they announce, hey, we're doing this method going forward, starting at this moment. All these tournaments will be towards that. So you can factor in those points or the fractional invites as opposed to your points that you get for the existing tournaments. Right? You need to know beforehand because you don't know what's actually going to qualify you. It has to be like proven as a concept that doesn't suck ass. You need something. Why should we trust? True.
Why should we trust this time will be different with OP? Great question. We're not
true.
We're not blind to the fact that organized play doesn't have the greatest reputation. But
OP is organized play.
A little bit about what's changed, without going too deep into the behind the scenes.
Being like tournaments and stuff like that.
The Play Studio, as it is, has been moved under new leadership. So the Play
new leadership. They got new management. They're under new management.
Studio.
We like
is
this.
Now part of
new management. So why should we trust you this time? You should withhold judgment until we show you that it will be different. So
to you, it could be good, could be bad. I think it's good. It's not fully formed yet, but I think we're heading in the right direction. Can you calm people down and say that you will restore GPs and PTs, regular competitive formats, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say we will precisely bring exactly those programs back.
Not going to say. All right, so they're not bringing exactly those back. Wait, what was
Isn't killing pro play also killing aspirational play? The two are certainly interlinked. They are.
Yes.
One eternity later.
Let's see.
Wait, so what was the answer? They're interlinked.
I saw some questions about the Hall of Fame, so let's talk about the Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
The Hall of Fame is not dead. The Hall of Fame is paused. So as part of the change in studios,
Hall of Fame
the
isn't
Hall of
dead,
Fame
it's paused.
responsibility and
Why is it
I think it will
paused?
come back. It will come back in a different form.
Come back in a different form? How does a Hall of Fame come back in a different form?
Do you consider MTG Arena a finished product?
Great question.
In the sense, like, there's always updates to it. We literally just launched mobile, so finished in that there will be no more features. No. I don't know how else to answer that question.
Okay, so there will be more features, but he has no idea how else to answer that question. No, we don't.
I can
We don't
give
care.
the caveat that these are not hard.
You're not giving us details, though. There's zero details. You have given us. You have defined pillars. You have vaguely said that we are going back to in person because you guys want to, but we have no determination as far as when. You haven't said, like, hey, the next tournament will be online because we don't know what's going on with COVID yet, so we're just going to plan for online this time. We're not going to just plan it for the next 2 years. None of that. Still working on a plan for League Weekend. The only way that we know that their stuff is going to be different with the pro play is because it's under new leadership. No details. They're not going. They can't say exactly if they're going to bring back exactly the PTs and GPs, but they're probably going to bring something. They're just not going to subsidize the lifestyle of the top 200 players. There will still be a world championship through 2022, but beyond that, they don't want to say. Pro play killing aspirational play, or killing pro play and killing aspirational play, saying they're interlinked and that's it. Hall of Fame being not dead, but paused and coming back in a different form. No details. Like, you've given us zero details so far. The closest thing to a detail that you've given us is the World Championship that's happening through 2022. It's the only thing that you've given us right now. In the new leadership, I guess. But it doesn't say, like, exactly who the leadership is. It said MPL isn't in existence anymore, which we already knew that.
Every time we announce something, there's always going to be questions about the details that matter to some and don't matter to others.
When you make an article about MPL being canceled, do you think having details in that article about the MPL being canceled is a bad thing because it may not interest some people? You would assume, one would assume, that if you're clicking on an article about MPL being canceled, that you want the details of why it was canceled.
How many large 1,000 person Magic Fest scope events does Wizards want to have in the US or the world in 2022-23?
Yeah.
Super contingent on COVID.
Obviously. Fucking obviously.
No set number, I don't think, especially since we're still building out the program. What will coverage look like? To be determined. It's not, coverage is not really changing for the transition season. Beyond 2022, again, it's hard to say because we don't know exactly what the system's going to look like.
Does that even have, like, anything to do with coverage? I mean, I guess a little bit, but, like, fucking there isn't any coverage right now. There's zero coverage on MPL. It's like nobody fucking knows what MPL is.
And what people are going to want covered versus playing in and that sort of thing. Why does Wizards need to completely reinvent the system again? It's making record money. Why not just invest more to expand its reach and set? Okay, so there are two questions
You
here
could say
that
invest
kind of
more.
echo a
Not
lot
really
of the
just
things.
throwing
We'll
money,
start with the
investing
why
it.
does Wizards need to completely reinvent the system again? There was
They
actually a
don't
great
really.
live podcast earlier today, Constructed Resources with Scott Vargas and Andrew Beckstrom, and they actually had a really nuanced take on everything. I thought it was totally fair, whether they were criticizing us or not. And one of the
I mean,
things
they're
that
pro players,
I believe,
right? They've been in the pro scene for a long time, right? Like the Hall of Fame, maybe. They might know some nuances about the whole esports situation. You think?
Luis said, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm going to do it anyway. But that is true. Is that this system wasn't working, and changing by degrees has not worked for us in the past.
It wasn't working because you weren't doing anything with it. All you did was be like, here's a bunch of money. Let me just give you all salaries. You're good. Who even knew what MPL was? Let me know in the comment section below. I didn't even know. Like, I knew what MPL stood for. I didn't know that they had 200 people until just this Q&A. No fucking idea. I thought there was like 8 or 16 people. Like, I didn't think there was 200 fucking people on retainer. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, they didn't do anything with it. What did they do? I never saw them do anything with these MPL people.
No longer quoting or poorly quoting LSV. Trying to just tweak the MPL and Rivals system, it was determined wasn't going to work. We are reinventing the wheel because we needed a clean break from this. One of the biggest issues with esports that has led to a lot of the turbulence, a lot of the anxiety that you feel, a lot of the memes about it changing every year, is that esports is very much built on this legacy system and the guarantees that we made to players as a part of that. So, part of the reason we even need this transition season is that, we have contracts with the MPL. They have played for things, and we have said, you are earning this thing. And we need to honor that. The same was true with the old pro system.
Why are we reinventing it again? Why not just throw money at the problem? The system wasn't working. Tweaking it has never worked in the past. Reinventing it because it needs a clean break. So, tweaking it has never worked in the past. That's why they're reinventing it. They said it's not working. They didn't say why it wasn't working.
So there are a lot of comments that are like, "Oh, Wizards had a record-breaking year. Why not just throw more money at the problem?" A couple things. Wizards Magic the Gathering revenue has grown year over year, basically for the longest time. I think there may have been one year that wasn't true, but
there you go.
Every year is a record year for Magic the Gathering because we just have pretty consistent growth. We say we often tout it's a record year, and it's always true. But the record is that we just keep growing. So why don't we just throw more money at the problem?
I would like to know how many more people join, or how many more people actually start playing, and how much money they invest. Like, does the average dollar per person go down now, or does it go up, or does it stay the same?
To me, the best part of the MPL rival system was having access to the pros so easily. Is there any kind of talk on how that benefits the Magic community, and is there any plan to try to keep those pros active in our community? Yes, we're working on some.
Okay.
Community, yes.
Yeah, keeping pros active in the community, it's great. Pros and streamers,
There are a ton of pros who are
YouTubers, of course.
Fantastic ambassadors.
Like, comment, subscribe.
A lot of them are fantastic ambassadors because they already have their own platform. But we want to continue engaging with them, and
because they had to make their own platform.
We've had a part of our company that deals in influencer management, essentially just working with people in the community who make the Magic community awesome, and working with them and that sort of thing. And then we've had
What a
our
fucking
esports
joke.
people over here.
What a
And there's no
fucking
reason that
joke.
those shouldn't be intertwined. Like Paulo Vitor Damarosa, yes, he's a pro. He's an influencer. He influences the way people think about Magic, and there's no reason for us not to think of those people in the same or similar buckets. We need a precise answer. Is arena competitive play dead? No. God,
What?
no.
What kind of question is that?
If anything, there will be more. It's one of those 5 pillars.
That's just a weird ass question. Like, why are you? Okay, some like questions like that, I kind of understand because it's a short answer and it's a positive thing. Like, it's an overly positive thing. Is the competitive scene in MTGA dead? No, absolutely not. We're actually going to do more with it. Awesome. Like, that's fucking cool, right? That gets a bunch of people done, and that's a short answer. It's just boom. You don't need anything else. It would be great to have more actual details because we're not getting anything at all. Still, we still haven't gotten details on anything. It'd be nice to get fucking something, right? Just something. We get to be determined or 0 details.
Are you taking into account the major criticisms from pro players? Of course.
So this is all about MPL stuff. So obviously, taking in consideration of the people who it affects most is good. Obviously.
We presented this to them before it was public.
Which is good. Which is good.
We have a Discord with the MPL and Rivals players. They have, a lot of them have direct lines to us. Our emails are on Discord, on Twitter, whatever.
They still won't respond to me.
They
single tier.
They let us know when they don't think something's right, and we listen. And we don't always agree. Just because a pro says this thing is bad, that doesn't mean that it necessarily is.
True.
And there are
definitely
other factors
true.
that we have to take into account.
Definitely
but
true.
Like any feedback, it's super valuable to us. So yes, we do. Can you address the game discouraging its players?
Can you address the game discouraging its players? Some of the people are saying this is the worst.
Both of those, that may happen. For others, this is like fine. For some, this is a really
it's a deal
terrible
breaker
thing, and
it's
it
horrible.
might move them to stop playing altogether.
That
may happen. For others, this is like, thank goodness they're getting back to the thing that I like. This excites me for the future.
Obviously, pro play is like 0.01% of the people. How if that? Probably 0.001. I mean, there's like nothing, right?
And both of those things can be true for different players.
Yeah, but you can still do both.
That. We have to acknowledge that both those feelings are valid. You can feel this is a terrible announcement. You can feel this is a good announcement. You can feel that it's a mix of both.
Yes, true. But you can also do both.
Valid. And so I don't think it's fair to say that Magic is on the decline. I do think it is absolutely fair for individual people to say Magic isn't working for me right now, or Magic is super working for me right now.
Can you address the game discouraging its players? Did he address that? We can see how it's discouraging, but it's not discouraging the people that give us more money. Highest level.
Measure success from a pro system. What's it looking for out of pro play?
Let's go.
It's a great question. It's
great question.
Been this sort of elusive. How do you measure the impact of pro play? I can say that.
How do you?
One of the smartest, like, a data scientist. Why not? He's our data guy. Has finally kind of been able to put some numbers to the impact of pro play, and they're significant. I shouldn't say pro play. I should say competitive play. Competitive organized play affects our bottom line. It does, and that is it's not a secret. Everybody's kind of thought it was true for a long time, but we have some hard numbers, and so that's why I don't expect high level play to go away. We know it's good for us. The exact sort of high level.
How does WotC measure success of a pro system? What is it looking for out of pro play? Pro play affects our bottom line.
Level play. That's why, and that is, it's not a secret. Everybody's kind of thought it was true for a long time, but we have some hard numbers. And so that's why don't expect high level play to go away. We know it's good for us.
Yeah.
The exact sort of high level play, again, where we subsidized that top 1%, is not going to stick around. But high level play is super important to our system.
Straightforward question or straightforward answer that we've gotten. That's the only actual answer that we've gotten. Wow. That is the only actual answer that we've gotten out of this entire thing.
Any thought on focusing on what differentiates Magic and makes it great instead of emulating other games or whatever is trendy at the time?
What the fuck does this have to do with MPL?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And the announcement
This
today
is a stupid question.
really pointed at that Magic's strength is the gathering. And I don't mean that in sort of a slogan-y way, but Magic, unlike a lot of other games, first of all, has both a tabletop and a digital component.
Yeah.
It has a long history. It's basically infused through games, through local game stores. So many local game stores have Magic all up front, and then other things are, around it, and they sell other games and they sell drinks. But Magic just really, beats through the heart of those local game stores. So when we talk about expanding friendly, aspirational play, those things are really focusing on the strengths that differentiate Magic and make it great, in that they get people together to have fun and enjoy games. So that's really where we see one of the strengths and one of the differentiators for Magic. And so we're absolutely moving in that way.
Any thoughts of focusing on what makes Magic different instead of emulating other games? Magic's strength is in the gathering. So what they just said is that they want to focus on helping the stores, I would assume. He just talked about stores, how it's the forefront of stores, and it covers the first two pillars that they're doing. So that means they're going to be pumping money into a bunch of local game stores, right? But also focusing it on the gathering. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the only game that does things in person over anything else right now, right? Outside of maybe other card games. But it's like it's like the only game outside of sports and things like that, of course, that you pretty much have to be in person. But if you're talking like esports and stuff, you will have in-person tournaments and stuff, but you don't really see too many like weekly digital tournaments anymore. I remember when I was growing up, I used to go to weekly Counter-Strike tournaments and things like that all the time. It was actually at the same place I used to play Magic. I would go to weekly Counter-Strike tournaments at the same place.
What is wrong with the old PT system, and why was it moved away from? The old PT system had a lot of kinks. There were a lot of things it did well. There were a lot of things it didn't. For all the talk about it subsidizing the pro life and the pro club, it really didn't. Not on the level that the MPL and Rivals did. It had, like I said, a lot of legacy issues, which made it a really slow boat to turn. If we wanted to make things better the next season, we often couldn't because we were already committed to that.
Then good. Get rid of it. So it didn't give players enough money, and it wasn't robust. So those are two amazing ways to get rid of a shitty system.
The old Pro Tour system,
right? And those are two amazing ways to get rid of it. I agree with getting rid of it.
How is Mitgo going to be involved in the future of OP? I don't know of any changes to Mitgo.
No changes to MTGA.
High level play right now. Nobody's indicated there are going to be any changes with this shift, but obviously Mitgo will continue to look to fit into the system and then, have its own play as well. What do you define as high level play? That's a really great question. High level play, we are
for elite play.
We used elite play, and I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna pull up. How is Mitgo going to be involved in the fee changes with this shift? What do you define as high? High-low play? That's a really great question.
All right, what do we got?
Oh, I'm pulling up the presentation I saw this morning. No, you cannot see it.
Whoa. Excuse me. I didn't realize you were so much better than us.
So
At least he did specify.
Elite play, high-level play. When we talk about that, we are talking about the type of events you need to qualify for. The type of events that carry with them a significant prize that makes them good.
Okay,
the
events you
type
got
of
to
events that
qualify
carry
for.
with them a title.
All right.
Part of the allure of the Pro Tour of Mythic Championships, of the World Championships, is
Obviously that makes sense.
saying that you were
It's a special invite,
Pro Tour champion,
or you have to qualify. That's elite,
world champion,
typically.
So
unless, of course,
play
it's like
is
an
gonna come with
influencer invite
money.
thing.
You're gonna almost certainly need to qualify for it. So it's gonna be a closed tournament and not open to everyone. I say that.
Real answer.
That one's
next.
Maybe a little
Next
fuzzy.
question.
How do you reconcile? We want to keep these players as influencers, ambassadors of the game, and we don't want to subsidize them, give them a paycheck. So the
Savage.
First of all, it's not that we don't
Good
want to give
question.
them a paycheck. It's the type
it
of
is.
work that we no longer plan on subsidizing, and that work was just showing up to events, or just being. After sustained play. I'm being a little pithy there. Actually, I apologize for that. That was a little too casual, but
like, obviously I get what he's saying, right? Where if you're not going to make appearances at shows like conventions or tournaments or whatever, you have to actually show up for the tournaments that you're invited to or the ones that you qualify for. Stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, we're going to pay you so that you show up for shit, right? But you also use them for marketing materials. You can put them in videos. You can do so much with these people. You just don't have a marketing team. If all you were using them for, if all their paycheck was just showing up for an event so they could win more money, then you're a fucking idiot. Especially, it sounds like you are paying them a lot of money. You could have used that so much. And then, even now, it could have been even better. Because I don't even know who's on the MPL. I have no fucking idea. I had literally no idea. No fucking idea. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you a single one. Not a fucking clue. Let alone 32? Or 200, or what? However many he said initially, it was like 200 and then 32. I don't know how many MPL members there are. I can't name a single one off the top of my head. I have literally no idea.
Surely things like nationals that you stopped doing could fit into the model. They could. They absolutely could.
That's it. It could. It absolutely could. Good answer. Good answer. Lots of details on that one.
Will there be anything to aspire to beyond qualifying for individual premier events in the new system? Again, things like titles, world championships, trophies, the prize money. I mean, all of those things are aspirational. And again, the only thing that's really going away is the sort of lifestyle aspiration, which I admit is a big chunk.
What do you get from tournaments now? Well, you get a trophy. You get the prize money, but trophy, get some plaques, but you don't get the salary. Nothing. It sounds like nothing's changing, really, outside of, they just don't get the salary. That's it. I wonder how much the salary was. What was it? PL member's salary. $32 players on the roster, a flat salary of $75,000 a year. And then they got 3 Mythic Invitational ones, which they can win earnings. $75K a year is definitely pretty good. And they don't have to win any tournaments to do that. So yeah, 32 players. So it was actually 32 players. Interesting.
With these changes, is there a possible future for collegiate MTG teams? Yes, that is a possible future.
Cool,
Right.
possible.
Scroll down.
Which means, so if you can have collegiate teams, that means there are going to be Magic teams in this new system. So I wonder if they're just emulating, like, what Riot Games does with, you know, Valorant or League of Legends, or what Valve does with Counter, or ESEA or ESL. ESL? I think it's ESL.
So can we get player rewards back if we're trying to expand the reach of community rewards?
Player rewards?
That exact program, probably not, but
Oh,
something
that's right.
similar. Or
Back in the
just,
day.
kind of spitballing here. Like, what if the reward was a promo card that had your store and your champion like etched on it? Or what if the reward was like, if you top, whichever store wins a head-to-head championship, gets their names inscribed on these promo cards. There are a lot of things. So,
and as for yesterday's comment question of the day, I asked you, what do you think we'll replace handshakes with when we're doing in-person play? Here are your answers. And if you want your comment featured in these videos, make sure that you answer the comment question of the day every single day, 7 days a week in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to this point, it means you either really enjoyed the video or you fell asleep and I'm waking you up now. Either way, thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, come out with videos 7 days a week.